Yeah, well, I think it's really wonderful for those of us who worked on the course to know that it's being used and that it's really hopefully having benefit for people. I think it really does fill a gap for clinicians, and by clinicians I mean doctors or nurse practitioners who are working in high TB burden settings and are faced with the challenge of diagnosing TB in children. There is not a single good diagnostic test for TB in children, and so these healthcare workers are obviously often having to put together their decisions around children's history and their clinical presentation and the chest X-ray to try and decide whether a child has TB or not. And the interpretation of chest X-rays in children is quite often a teaching gap in your medical training, because if you're not a specialist pulmonologist or a specialist radiologist, you often don't get extensive training in how to read chest X-rays from children, especially in the context of TB. So I think that this course helps to close that gap or bridge that gap for your general healthcare worker who is faced with the challenge of having to interpret a chest X-ray and who may have had very limited training before. So I think it is filling that gap, and I think that's probably why it's been so well received. And I think the other thing to mention is that the timing of this course was good. We've just had updated WHO guidance on the treatment of tuberculosis in children, and this includes the option of treatment shortening in children. And the decision to give children a shorter treatment regimen for tuberculosis often relies on how you classify the severity of disease on the chest X-ray. And I think that people have been anxious about how to do that in operational settings. And this course has a module which specifically focuses on deciding whether a chest X-ray is representing severe or non-severe TB. So I think the timing of the course also has something to do with the fact that it's been well received and taken by many people.